Hello friends, my name is Fandrol and today we're back with the second video in our series on soloing Heart of Thorns hero points. And this time we're going to Auric Basin. The reason we're doing this is simple. These hero points offer pretty great rewards, you can do them once per day, and they're the ideal time investment when you're waiting for the Octovine meta to start. If you do a full tour of the map, you can expect a little over 1 gold in unidentified gear, 120 lumps of Aurelium and about a level's worth of experience. Now, just like the hero points in Verdant Brink, attempting these for the first time has been quite a reality check for a lot of players, and myself included. In my previous video, we learned to tackle all of those hero points in Verdant Brink by simply doing two things. The first was learning the one mechanic that we needed to dodge or avoid at all costs. And the second was having a tailor build that would help us carry through all of the fights and mostly passively. We're going to be sticking with the same build throughout this series, so make sure to check out my previous video if you want pointers on how to play it. I will of course provide you with a link to the build in the description as well. Now let's get to it. You'll notice the bosses in Auric Basin are somewhat of a step up from Verdant Brink, but our build is gonna carry us through. And just a quick reminder, if you see a break bar, press Mace 3 and Pistol 5 as soon as you can. Furthermore, just spam your skills off cooldown. The first hero point you'll most likely come across is the Mushroom King. This one actually has 3 attacks that are annoying, but only one of them could be problematic. And even if you do get hit, you have a lot of room to recover. The first thing to watch out for is his charge, but we're gonna negate this mechanic by simply standing behind him or to his side. And in case he decides to charge, our mech is gonna tank the hit with little difficulty. The second of his attacks is a pull where he shoots out small spores in a circle. These can be dodged, but we're in melee and we're likely to get hit. But these don't really damage you, they just stun you and pull you in, so if that happens, it's Shift Signet and the problem is solved. And the one mechanic you actually want to actively negate is a jump. He will spawn a red circle around him before jumping up in the air and attempting to land on you with his head. To deal with this, when you see the circle, simply press dodge. You'll take no damage, you won't be stunned, and you can just keep fighting. And that's it. So basically just dodge the jump and this fight will take care of itself. The second hero point is a champion Arrowhead. Once again, our mech will make our life so much easier. This time not by tanking all of the hits, but the boss's attacks have very clear tells if you know who he will attack. So never stand on top of your mech, stand to the boss's side or his back. And this is the first time where we will want to avoid two mechanics. The first is a conal AoE attack in front of him, followed by a tail slam covering his backside. So if you see the boss raising his head, simply dodge to the side if you're standing in front or behind him. And the second mechanic is a barrel roll. He will initiate his attack, but the first half second doesn't actually damage or stun you. So when you see he starts rolling towards your character, just hit the dodge button. So if you manage to avoid these two mechanics, the boss won't do any damage to you. And if you happen to get hit, don't panic. Hit your Shift Signet and you'll recover quite fine. Now we'll get to a series of hero points that are fairly simple, all thanks to the build we picked. The first one are the Razorwing Birds. Activating this hero point will spawn a champion enemy and his 2 minions. The same advice still stands that I gave for all of the bosses in Verdant Brink. Kill the minions first and focus the champion after. The minions pretty much just fall over, so they won't take more than a few seconds. And the champion himself has a few ranged attacks, which are 100% negated by using our barrier signet, so just hit the signet off cooldown and that's it. And much like all of the bosses we've faced so far, just don't stand in front of the enemy. He has one melee attack that chunks you down, so if you stand to his side or behind him, you'll never get hit. The second of the easier hero points is the champion Vinetooth, and while this mob has damaging attacks, our build is gonna allow us to kill this one even while being AFK. Don't do this, by the way. This champion will always aggro to your mech, so just stand to his side or behind him and that's it. He has a frontal AoE that really hurts you, but it doesn't really damage your mech. And because he never targets you, you don't have to worry about anything, this is a free kill. And the third and final one of these is the Golems. Activating this hero point spawns 1 veteran golem with a break bar and 2 bigger golems. And much like the very first hero point from Verdant Brink, you just want to spam your skills. You might notice I tried to shift Signet to position my mech so that he hits all 3 with the elite Signet, but even that is not really necessary. And this brings us to our final hero point, which is going to be the most challenging we're going to be facing. Well, I say challenging, but only if we keep mace and pistol as our weapon set. If you swap to pistol instead, you can literally ignore all of the mechanics by just running in a circle around the boss. Now before we do that, let's first start off by understanding all of the mechanics, as this is very important to understand why we will do what we do in this fight. The Shack Hollow starts off by spawning a champion Shack Lobber and his 2 minions. And as per usual, we will take care of the 2 little guys first to reduce the pressure in this fight. The champion himself will have 3 things we will need to understand. The first is a head slam that will stun you and deal moderate damage. But because our mech will be tanking him, most of these we can safely ignore just by keeping our distance. For the second attack, he flails his tail around while spraying gunk all around him. And this deals quite heavy damage in 2 or 3 ticks. You have 2 options here. If you're too close to the boss, hit that dodge button. But if you're actually far enough from the boss, the attack won't even reach you. And the third mechanic will look a bit different depending on if your mech is alive or not. He has a charge forward that will place puddles that deal very heavy damage. So much damage in fact that you cannot keep standing in them. Now, when your mech is alive, the charge will actually not really look like a charge, and he will just place a puddle in front of him. If this happens, use your shift signet to teleport your mech out of the puddle. You will notice at some point though, you won't be able to keep up with this strategy, and your mech is gonna eventually die. Now, if your mech dies, just keep your distance from the boss and kite in a large circle around him. Use the whole room for this. Because by kiting in a large circle, the head slam and the gunk spray still won't hit you. The only attack to be aware of is the charge. But because we're positioned so far away, we will see this attack coming long before it hits us. So when he charges at you, simply dodge to the side and continue running in a circle. And with that, you will actually have managed to beat all of the repeatable hero points of this map. Most of them with the same setup from our last video, and the biggest challenge we just tackled by changing our weapon sets before engaging the boss. I hope over time these will become easier for you, because touring around this map is actually a nice extra 1 gold, a free spirit charge from the experience and 120 of the map currency. And that's also about it for this video. If you have any comments or questions, make sure to leave them down below, or better yet, join our Discord, link is in the description. And if you liked it, please like this video, and your subscription would mean the world to me.